Hi everyone, back for the third video. We're talking about quality assurance, program assessment, program design, some of the things about how we're doing those kinds of things. Again, there's a lot of reading in the PDF. I'm not going to be reading these things to you, but I will point out some highlights as we go through this. You can read through what that process is, what that assessment process is, and then you see the methods. We have both direct and indirect methods. And the accrediting bodies are requiring that we have both of these in there. So we've incorporated both in. You can see what those different ways are by reading through the information that's given there. The next point is our centralized curriculum model. It's the way we do all of our courses. We have content experts, which are the lead faculty and the teaching faculty, working with design faculty to make sure that the content we want is coming across to the students, and they have different assignments, different ways of assessing. All the parts of their expertise they'll use in the courses as well, so that the students are getting the best possible education, and we're making sure that they're getting the education that we want. We'll of course be using all of our technologies, the LMS, the Blue Quill that we use for all of our courses. Adobe Connect is a way that we will be using for the online or distance students. Will be brought into the classrooms together during the synchronous activities. We've got software that we use, and of course then we've selected SPSS as a statistical package that we'll be using. A little bit of discussion on the page about the resources that are available in the library, and our librarians have really stepped up to the task here. They've taken a look at what databases are available they're not already subscribed to. They've built into the budget to subscribe to those in the coming years for the doctoral students to have access to that. But just, you can see a real quick checklist there of some of the things that they're going to have available. Same with the Student Learning Center. We've always offered tutoring support for example, say a student has difficulty with statistics, or they're having trouble with their writing. There will be tutoring support available for that. And then for quantitative research, we will also have tutors, and we will have experts available to work with the students. So we'll be supporting the students through the curriculum, the things that they're doing in the classes, through the faculty, both the classroom faculty, those teaching the course, and through faculty advisors. We'll talk about that in a little bit at the end of this section. Through faculty advisors, and then of course through dissertation advisors, and then program chairs will also be available as a resource to students. So we're trying to meet all the student needs in many, many different ways. And then finally, the last thing listed here is the career office. We have a Career Beam, which is an online resource that the doctoral students will also have available to them, as well as any career fairs we hold, or workshops, seminars, things like that are built around helping students find employment. There's a long discussion here about the colloquia for students. Please take time to read that. I've mentioned it briefly in the last video, and I'll just again mention here. The goal is for the colloquia to introduce our students to specific parts of doctoral study. Colloquium 1 is to introduce them to doctoral study generally, what some of the resources are, how to use the resources, getting to know the faculty members, getting to know one another, building a real community of learners that can help support one another throughout this entire process. The second colloquium is to get them prepared for their comprehensive exams and dissertation work. So we have activities, there'll be workshops, seminars, discussions, all these kinds of things will be going on during these colloquia, but they're designed for specific reasons. Please feel free to read through that and familiarize yourself with what some of those are. Many of you may be involved in some of these colloquia. In fact, you all will be, at least for part of the synchronous activities, where the students and the faculty are getting to know one another. Be prepared to talk about your research interests, what some of your work has entailed, some of your primary interest areas of either teaching or research, so that the students can start to figure out where they may fit into the overall program, and then who those faculty members are that might be more aligned with what their interests are. Again, make note of the fact that transfer credits, there are some specific courses that are not transferable, the 2 colloquia courses and all the dissertation courses. The other 46 hours of coursework are all eligible for transfer, up to 24 hours total transfer by any student. So we've done that specifically. We think we can attract some former students, some persons who are ABD, perhaps persons who even didn't get to that point, but they have done some doctoral level coursework, and it's laying there. They don't know what to do with it. They're not able to go back. It's been too many years since they've been involved in a program, because many programs have a 7-year window. Whatever it might be, we want them to know that we're willing to look at and very likely accept transfer credit in those areas. Then we talked about the pedagogical design and philosophy. We're going to encourage our students to start thinking about the question they think they want to look at when they get to their dissertation from the very beginning. That way they can do their research and their writing in the early coursework around that same question. A lot of the literature review will be taken care of. They will already have very good, detailed, in-depth knowledge of the area, and won't be as much left for them to do to prepare for the design and the study that they will do for their dissertation. If a student does not come in with a question, or if they change their mind, that's okay. That's perfectly acceptable. But we're going to encourage them to have that question, because that way they can follow this 2-track method that's discussed here. We want them to learn the content area of the courses. We also want them to think about how that relates to their eventual question that they want to ask. And that kind of gets us to the faculty advisors area. I said I'd mention that a little bit more. All of our students will have a faculty advisor. Now, this faculty advisor will not be responsible for administrative details such as making sure they're registered in classes and those kinds of things, but they will have a great responsibility to be a one-stop shop for that student for other questions. You may not know the answer to the question, but we want them to know there's one place that they can call to turn to for advice. Now, some areas we would expect that you would have the answers. Students are going to ask, how do I get into academia if they're in business and industry now? Or they may have a question about, well, what kinds of things will help me advance in my career in business or industry? Typical things that faculty members are usually involved in discussions with students anyway. There may be questions that come up that you would need to enlist the help of an expert person. Well, we want you to be that one contact person so that they're not calling campus, they're getting transferred from this office to this office to this office to another office. They know one place, and maybe you do get them in touch with another person, but it's not, you don't just get the phone call and transfer them off and then they transfer them off. That it's very deliberate and very specific. And so those are some of the things that we're looking for in our faculty advisors. Then the next section is dissertation advisors. It's very typical, as service on a dissertation is, with one major exception. We are going to have our dissertation committee members involved from the very beginning. In many programs, the student works only with the chair works them through the entire process, and then they send it out to the other members of the committee who read it and say, oh, well, you should have done this, and they feel like they go all the way back to the start and have to work through that process again. We want to have all of our committee members involved from the beginning. The chair does have the responsibility to coordinate the work and to move things forward, but all the committee members will be involved in the discussions along the way, so the student's not surprised by something towards the end when they think they're about ready to finish their dissertation and defend, that they're back at an earlier starting point. So read through that, give some ideas. Now, directly below that, there's a graphic of the advisor milestone checklist. That's referred to up above under faculty advisors, that they have to maintain this. That's just so you know what that looks like and what it is that we're asking the faculty advisors do. The next graphic on there is the doctoral faculty evaluation process. It talks about the role of the program chair. It talks about the role of the advisors themselves. It talks about the role of the teaching effectiveness office at Franklin University, what they will be looking at, and then again it talks about how it kind of all comes together. This is how we're evaluating all of our faculty, and our faculty evaluation process is evolving across the campus. And so whether it's the undergraduate or the graduate at the master's or now the doctoral level, we're trying to make this more and more of an iterative process where we're getting better and better feedback for the faculty members so they know the areas in which they can improve. They know the areas in which they're doing very well already. But we're always trying to make this from the student-focused perspective. What is it that will help the student to accomplish their dreams, their goals, to get their education and to move forward with their lives as well? So that's kind of how our evaluation is being built. There's 4 courses listed there and a link about the doctoral faculty training. Some of you have already been involved in that. Some of you have expressed an interest in it. Some of you may not even be very aware of it. I would suggest that you take a look at that link. It shows you the courses, what the courses are, and their availability. We will encourage all of our faculty to go through these courses. And in fact, the last one listed there, to serve as an advisor dissertation committee member, you'll need to have gone through that course so that you have the Franklin perspective on that service, as well as perhaps other institutions where you've served in that role. So take a look at that link, click on the link, take a look at that, see what the courses are, see their availability, and see about when you might want to do those things. And then finally, the last thing is a program design schedule, and I've listed that simply because you can see when programs are going to be designed, and then of course as teaching faculty or as lead faculty in some cases you'll be involved in that process as well. The final note on there is make sure you're looking at the second document besides the handout that I've gone through in these 3 videos that talks about the courses. It gives the course outcomes and course descriptions. With that, I've taken a little bit longer this time. I'm 11 minutes, a little bit over 11 minutes for this video. I apologize that it's a little bit longer than the others. But I do thank you for taking the time to work with us in the faculty for our DBA, and I appreciate you taking a look at these videos. Look forward to working with you at the HLC-ODHE meeting on January 11th and then into the future after we get approval for our programs. Again, thanks a lot.